Quite possibly an exercise of futility, but this is a crayfish. I like to make a crayfish with an articulating tail, because if you ever seen a crayfish move, they go backwards, they flick their tail and travel this way. And I'd like to do that with the tie being here, so that the crayfish could be cast and retrieved in reverse. I don't know exactly how I'm going to put hooks and things yet, but basically I'd like an articulating tail, and probably for the claws I might put some spinners and paint everything, even the spinners, so that they would all be sort of the same color. Making it bigger would be a lot easier, but if I make it too big, nothing in this lake will ever go after it. I do know that bass love real crayfish. I mean, they'll almost jump into the boat for them. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not cutting it out perfectly yet. I just need the general size on a piece of wood, because I don't know exactly. I need enough wood in there in order to be able to carve it, because I don't know exactly how it's going to go yet. I've cut it out roughly, and I didn't film it because I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. But this is what I've got so far. I'll use the Dremel a little later on when I have to do some of the detailed contouring of this. I've got this partially carved and the segments cut out. Now a little fine-tuning of them, I think. Okay, I have the segments of the tail glued temporarily onto the strip, and I want to seal them, so I'm gonna dip them in this sanding sealer. And then hang them up. So I have this little jig for the sections of tail to sit in so they'll stay together. This is the underside of the tail. I'm mixing up some quick epoxy here. And I am going to paint the tail with it. I'm hoping I don't paint epoxy each section together. That'll probably happen. I have a strip of cloth to lay over the tail. And we'll let that set. Now here's the front of the body. I have to consider some weight in here, because I want it to sit upright when it falls, not fall over. So, right about there. I want it as far back as I can. So it's going to be right there. I've drilled 3 holes in the bottom of the front end of this, and I'm filling it with small steel ball bearings. I don't get to use these little ones too much, so I might as well use them up. Now we need to mix up a little epoxy. Okay, there's the front of the body. You haven't seen everything I've done, like putting the hook in, because I didn't know what I was doing myself when I was doing it. It was all like trial and error sort of thing, and not too much error, but definitely a trial. So I've taken a hook and I've bent it to this shape so that the tail will go over it, and we'll be able to pull the lure this way. The tail has a piece of polyester nylon cloth, sunbrella. It's cut into sections. It's pretty flexible, and it will end up here. Now what I've got to do is I've got to make the fin for it on the back end. And eventually this part will be glued on here, be epoxied on. And then when I put the resin around all of it, I'll have to make sure that the resin doesn't seal this up or make the cloth too stiff so that there's no flexibility to it, I think. In my mind it works anyway. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work, just because it's in my mind. A lot of things are in my mind that don't work. Moxie, nectar of the gods. Well, maybe not Diamoxie, but it is. Maine state drink. Why do we have Moxie here right now? Well, I need a tail fin. I think that's what they call it, on the end of the lobster. Thin, malleable, aluminum, won't rust. And it'll be covered in, it'll be painted, and of course covered in UV resin, clear coat. So, yeah, I think that would be better. You know, I can't believe how when you get this cut out of a tin can, how thin it is. It's almost like tin foil. Huh. Oh well. Let's trace this on here. I think that's about right. Okay, what I've done is I've connected the tail with a screw, and a little UV resin inside will help that later on. And hopefully this will sort of loosen up and float here. And then when the lure is pulled this way, the tail will curl in like on a real crayfish. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay, I've got to get some white on this thing as base coat. Well, I'm seeing this is starting off with gold. I have some dark sepia in here, and with a little luck, we'll be able to do something with it. I haven't shown you these yet. These are going to be the claws, which are really more like spinners. Okay, I've got a little pearl lime green here. Now for a little black. Well, I've toyed with the ideas of putting some legs on this, but I don't think I could get any that would look realistic or not interfere with the cast or retrieving it. So I think it will have to remain legless. Eyes and claws. This is a big lure. It'll take a lot of resin. I can't help but put a little bit of gold flake in it. Not much though, I want this to be too shiny. I am going to have to be careful not to glue the tail sections together. I think that will probably work out in the curing tank. The segments aren't touching. I don't think they'll glue themselves together. Okay, I'm going to put it in and see what happens.